Chapter 4. Iggy and the Snow Queen. Iggy and me were making a play. We were learning our words and making our own costumes and scenery and everything. Our play was about the Snow Queen. The Snow Queen is a lady who can turn you all to ice just by looking at you. She is very pretty and her coat and her gloves on, but underneath her fingers are made of icicles and her skin is as cold as a snowball. She pretends to be friendly and nice until she's got you where she wants you, and then she turns you into a snowman or an ice cube, just for fun. You wouldn't want to meet the Snow Queen in real life. Iggy wanted to be the Snow Queen in our play for 4 reasons. 1, because she still fitted into the white furry coat in our dressing up box, and it was the perfect Snow Queen costume. 2, because she'd been practicing her mean face in the mirror. She screwed up her nose until it was all just wrinkles, and she bared all her snow white teeth, and she stared at her reflection really hard like she was angry with it. 3, because it was the starring role, the best part, and Iggy was interested in that. And 4, because it was nearly her birthday, and that was becoming Iggy's biggest reason for getting what she wanted. I didn't mind. We put flour on Iggy's face with cotton wool and blue chalk on her lips and her cheeks, so she looked like she was actually frozen. The whites of her eyes looked warm and yellow against her skin. Her mouth was all pink on the inside when she smiled. "Don't smile," I said. "I'm not," Iggy said, and I saw pink when she talked too. Underneath the white coat she wore a white nightie, white tights and white knickers and a vest. We found some white gloves that were all lacy like the curtains at Granny and Grandad's house, and we made a sort of crown with tin foil and white pipe cleaners. That took ages. Then we made the scenery. We put all the white sheets and towels we could find on the floor of the landing and over the banister. I climbed up and stuck some hankies and tea towels to the ceiling so they hung down like icicles. "Cool," Iggy said. "No, Iggy," I said, and I pretended to shiver. "Freezing." We got all the white toys we had, like rabbits and polar bears and puppies and mice, and we dotted them about like frozen things. We put pillowcases over some of our other not-so-white teddies, and they looked exactly like lumps of snow. Dad came upstairs and looked at the landing. "What the?" he said in a quite loud voice. "What is it?" Mum called from downstairs. "The airing cupboard's exploded," he said. "You're joking," Mum said, and then she came up too. She opened her mouth and "Oh," came out. "Not really," said Dad. "What's going on?" they both said. Iggy said, "It's the Snow Queen's lair," and she pulled her mean face. I said we were doing a play. "For you to watch," Iggy said. One of the hankies on the ceiling was tickling Dad's head. "What's that about?" he said. "They're icicles," Iggy told him. "Silly me," Dad said, smiling at Mum. "I thought they were handkerchiefs." Mum said a play sounded like a good idea as long as we promised to clear up afterwards. "Every single thing," she said. "It's a very good lair," Dad said. "Thanks," I said, and Iggy said, "We know." In our play, I was a girl who got kidnapped by the Snow Queen and taken to her magic kingdom. I had to wear summer clothes because I was on a beach when it happened. Iggy put pink face paint all over me so I looked sunburned. I had sunglasses and flip-flops and a swimsuit and a towel. "You are going to be cold when we get there," Iggy said. "I know," I said, and I wrapped the towel around me like Mum does when she gets us out the bath. "I'm cold already." "I'll kidnap you by being friendly and extra nice," Iggy said. "Then I'll turn you into a snowman." She threw a sheet over me and practiced her best evil laugh. "Ha ha ha!" It sounded good from under my sheet. "Then I can melt myself," I said, "and rescue all the other frozen things and change the Snow Queen's kingdom with my summery ways." I covered some of the white sheets with colourful towels. "Look," I said, "the snow is melting. And so will you, into a big puddle." "Mwahaha!" Iggy laughed again, like she had other ideas. We practiced loads of times. When it was ready, we made a ticket with Mum and Dad's name on. Iggy wanted them to buy the tickets at 50p, but Dad just tickled her until she stopped asking. They had a cushion each to sit on the edge of the Snow Queen's lair. "This is really good," said Mum, smiling. Then I turned all the lights off, and the play began. Iggy was supposed to start with her evil laugh. She was supposed to put pillowcases over my blue rabbit and her orange kangaroo, like she was turning them to ice. She was supposed to say, "Everything is lovely and cold." Instead, she stood there grinning at Mum and Dad, showing the pink inside of her mouth. "Iggy," I whispered, "do your laugh." "Oh," Iggy said. "Hee hee 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 hee." It didn't sound evil at all. "Iggy," I whispered, "turn the teddies to ice." "Oh," Iggy said, "where are the pillow things?" "Say the line, Iggy," I whispered. "I can't remember it," she said. "Stop whispering at me." "Oh dear," Dad said. Mum said, "Do you need more time to practice?" Iggy didn't answer. She just stood there grinning at them. It was like the real Snow Queen had turned her to ice there on the landing. "We've practiced loads," I said. Nobody said a thing. I counted to 10 in my head, and then I counted again. "Shall we come back later?" Dad said. "Mwahaha!" Iggy said suddenly. It made us all jump. She was pulling her mean face perfectly. "Are we back on?" said Mum. "I don't like the look of her," Dad said, pointing at the Snow Queen. "Mwahaha!" Iggy said again, even better. "I'm scared," Dad said. "Stop it, Dad," I said. And Iggy went up really close to him and hissed, "Or I'll turn you into ice." She wasn't supposed to say that. We hadn't practiced it or anything, but it was really good. In the end, Iggy said a lot of things she wasn't supposed to. I didn't mind. I added a few things too. The play was much longer than it was meant to be. Mum and Dad asked for an interval so they could put supper on. And they really clapped at the end. They stood up and everything. Dad said that it was called a standing ovation. He said, "Not every actor gets one of those, you know." Later, after we cleaned up, which took ages, and had our supper and washed our makeup off and in the bath and cleaned our teeth and had books, Iggy came into my room. She said, "That was the best game ever. I'm going to be the Snow Queen when I grow up." "You don't have to be the Snow Queen every time," I said. "We could do another play." "A different one?" it said Iggy. "We could do Hansel and Gretel." "Can I be the wicked stepmother?" "We could do Little Red Riding Hood." "I want to be the wolf." "Let's do one tomorrow," I said, and Iggy jumped around in my room with excitement. "Get into bed," Dad shouted upstairs. "Mwahaha!" Iggy whispered to me. Then she skipped down the landing to her own room.